Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'm making a card where I'm painting a background with a misty forest. In my last video with the winter landscape, I said that the card was for beginners. Well, this card is simpler than that. I'm sure anyone could paint this. All you need for this painting is a watercolor cardstock, a round brush, one bigger, one smaller. For the background, it's better to have a bigger brush, and you will also need paints. Technically, you only need one dark shade. The color is up to you. Pretty much any color would work, but you can also add a black for the darker layer. There are other products you need, which I will mention as I paint. And all the products are listed over on my blog. The link is in the description. Just remember, you do not need these exact products. I'm using only what I have in my stash. I started by taping my watercolor cardstock onto a board. This is actually a cutting board. I used a washi, but you can also use a painter's tape. This helps with the warping of the cardstock. As first, I painted the background. Here I did the wet on wet technique, which means I applied clean water over the whole cardstock. You want the cardstock to be wet, but you don't want the water to be pooling. If it happens to you, just use a paper towel or a dry brush to soak it up. I applied the water with a flat brush, but you can also use a round brush. Next, I diluted my paint using clean water. I wanted to start with a very light shade of paint. I wanted to create sort of an ombre effect with a very light middle and darker sides. For my painting, I'm using dark turquoise, but as I said, you can use any color you want. I started applying the color from the sides, doing these round strokes, and I was trying to be careful not to add too much color in the middle. Then I intensified the color just a bit on the sides, but I did not want to go too dark. After you paint your background, while the background is still wet, what you could do here, you could paint a few trees using a lighter shade of the paint. I didn't do that because on my trial card I could not really see them. I just let the panel fully dry and followed with the next step. Next, I painted the trees. I was painting in layers, making each layer darker. I started with a very light shade of the color. I mixed clean water with a little bit of the paint, and I first painted thicker straight lines for the trunk, and on some of them I painted thicker branches. You could also paint smaller branches, but for me that is just too much of an effort. I prefer my paintings to be as simple as possible. After each layer, before I painted the next layer with a darker shade, I let the panel fully dry. I think this painting is quite straightforward, so I will play a little bit of music and I will be back once I'm done. However, if you have any questions, not just about this card, but about card making as well, feel free to ask in the comments. So the painting of the trees is done. This is definitely beginner level 1 type of painting of misty forest trees. There are tutorials here on YouTube that are more elaborate. You can leave the painting as it is, just with trees, but I thought I will paint grass along the bottom. Just like in my previous video, I used my long bristle brush to paint this, which makes the painting of the grass much easier. I dipped my brush into the paint and I did small strokes to create the grass. If you don't have such brush, you can use the top of a round brush. Next, I assembled the card. On the top of the screen, you can see 3 sentiments that I was thinking of using. These are white heat embossed sentiment banners that I pre-made. If you don't have stamps, you can use a black cardstock and a white gel pen and write the greeting yourself, or you can write directly on top of the watercolor panel, or you can leave it without the greeting. The greeting is optional. To adhere the watercolor panel onto the card base, I used a simple double-sided tape. I make my own card bases, but you can buy them pre-made with envelopes. And to adhere the banner with the greeting, I used a foam tape so it's a little bit raised. So the card is done. I really love how it turned out. I would say this would be a great masculine card idea. I hope you will try creating something similar yourself. As you can see, it is very simple and quick to make. If you would like to see more cards with painting ideas like these, check out the playlist that is on your screens now. All these cards are perfect for beginners and those who are looking for more budget-friendly card ideas. That is all for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.